So we had a meet a couple weeks ago in Fayetteville, Arkansas, at the University of Arkansas. It's probably the most teams that we're going to see outside of our regional meet and then nationals. There's a lot of Division I talent and then a lot of the best of the country in Division II there as well, and ended up pretty good on both ends. We were in the fast heat, and so ended up, I don't know. Do you remember what place we got on the men's side?
I think 13th.
13th on the men's side, and then like 15th on the women's side, something like that. So and that was out of like, I don't know, there's like 30 teams, 30-something teams in one heat, and then another like 30. So there's probably like 60-something teams overall, and I think we beat like 11 Division I teams on the men's side and another handful on the women's side. So overall, it went all right. I think we were training pretty hard beforehand and didn't taper probably well enough, and then it was a long trip out there, and so I don't think we ran exactly to what I think our potential is, but we still, if it was a tough day, it was still a pretty good tough day, I think, in my opinion. And then and then now we have conference this weekend. So
conference always loaded. This year no different. Goals or expectations for the team and some individuals?
Yeah, so our conference is RMAC is just loaded every year, and I think our men, I think the goal still stands for like what we said at the beginning of the year, where our men have a lot of talent and can be one of the top teams in the country. And I think we're ready to show that this weekend. I think this is going to be the first weekend where we're going to have like a meet where we have our whole team there. We still really haven't put together a full team meet yet. We also had this, I talked about this last time, but we had a few sickness, like this cold that went around our whole team all semester. And so we finally are 100% healthy. Triston's running great. He's had a great last few workouts. So he's been up right by Tony in a lot of our last workouts. And then Alyssa's been great. She finished right by Kira in our last workout last weekend. So that was pretty awesome. And so I think we're peaking right at the right time. And I think that we're going to, do what we do and surprise some people this weekend. So, but yeah, pretty loaded competition per usual. So,
Alyssa, freshman, first big meet as far as the conference championship level against the RMAC. What's kind of the level of excitement or nerves or what's going on in your head these days?
I am super excited to compete this weekend at conference. The past 9 weeks have been geared towards this race, and so I'm prepared. I feel like the girls' team is prepared to show up and, I guess, perform well at the RMAC. So.
Triston, conversely, had last year a COVID year, but gained some experience, still a freshman eligibility-wise. But how much do you take from that chance to run at RMAC and the national invite last year into a meet like this?
Definitely a big change this year, just overall competition-wise, because last year not many people, and this year just like everyone's getting healthier and everyone's all together now. But compared to last year, I think I am ready to like start hanging out with the top guys, just still trying to figure out where I place in that. I'm still nervous though, even with last year. I know what to expect, but yeah, just pretty nervous, but excited too, just to see what I can do.
Questions?
How important was it to get to a national caliber type meet before conference? I mean, it gives you a terrific look at all kinds of things.
Yeah, I think it was really important, especially on our women's side, where we have the entire team is freshmen other than one senior, and one of them was here, or two of them were here last year, but the rest are all true freshmen. And so they're just a really, really young team, and most of the meets that we've had so far this year have been like a handful of schools. And so having this meet, which had some of the best RMAC schools in the country there as well, but then there's also, you're on a line when you look out to your left and you look out to your right, and there's just like, it just keeps going. And so a little bit nerve-wracking there, just like in the amount of people, but also in, the University of Arkansas is there, Oklahoma is there, Oklahoma State is there, Texas A&M is there, a lot of big Division I schools. And so for a women's side a little bit more, I think it was good to just get that out of the way and just like, okay, like we can go compete against these people. We are ready to compete against some of the best schools. And then on the men's side, it was, I think just dusting off the rust because we haven't lined up against that many people or that big of a meet really since last year at our national meet, which still was Triston's only, it was his first ever race doing that. And he ran really well, but I think he's on a whole nother level this year. And then, beyond him, we have Ethan Abs, who's another freshman. And then, the guys' side's pretty young as well. But we've got some older guys, but still they've never, with COVID and everything, they haven't had the shot to compete against, at these big meets yet. So I think it was good on the men's side to kind of dust that rust off for some of the older guys and then expose our younger guys to that and then really expose our whole women's team to that level of meet. So, yeah.
As runners, what did you two take from that? I mean, you look down and it's like Division One. You had some big dogs you were running with. What did you kind of take from that meet that'll help you in the conference meet?
I just knew that I knew to go in there expecting that there would be definitely some people way ahead of me. So I just had to get in that mindset that whatever happens, just let them go. And I knew that there would still be people too that were still at my level too. So I just had to get comfortable, find the right people to hang with and go from there. But yeah, going to this meet now I know that I ran with people that are much better than me, and there's still people in this conference that are, but I just know what to expect because, yeah, D1, definitely, those guys are built different. But, yeah, I'm just thinking, just got to learn to run my race my way, the way I know it, and with the team. Yeah.
It was definitely a learning curve looking to my left and right and seeing the amount of people that were there. And I guess what I took away from that is it's really important to find my team and find my people because that's where I need to be. And if I can be where I need to be, whether it's a large race or a smaller meet, Exactly. Yep.
Half the challenge, isn't it? Is just trying to get out
navigate.
Of and find your group.
Exactly. Thank you.
Having two younger teams, how does that kind of set you guys up for the future and not just now as a program?
You guys want to answer that? No. I mean, this entire year, what we've been working on is what she was talking about is kind of hard is working on the pack running. And I think last year our men did a very, very, very good job of that. And we still haven't put it 100% together yet, but I think we're ready to do that this weekend. I think we've had a lot of positive workouts that we basically have Tony, who's a little bit up by himself right now, and then we've got Jared and Trevor, who are other seniors who have been running really well. And I think Triston it's taken some time for him to be okay, I can now run with you guys. And they're running with some of the best guys in the country. We're also getting Mark Testa back from injury, and so he'll be right up with that group, hopefully. He was in the last workout, which was pretty cool. But we've got, outside of Tony, we have a pack of 6 guys that are all right together. They just haven't run together in a race yet. And so getting them to work together and just stay together, it's much more there's another level of comfort to it. And so if you're lost in a sea of a bunch of people that you don't know, there's always kind of that doubt that creeps in. But if you're surrounded by, people that you run workouts with every day, once it starts to get hard, it's okay, I know I can still keep going because I run with this person every day and they look good, so I can keep pushing. And so that's going to be something I'm really looking forward to this weekend, is I'm just working on that pack. And then on the women's side, it's a little bit different, where we have Kira's kind of where Tony is. She's a little bit up ahead, but then we have 2 or 3 other separate groups. So instead of one big group, we've got Alyssa and Lindsay, who it's a freshman and a senior. So Alyssa just needs to stay confident and know that Lindsay's done this before. And Lindsay had her best meet last year at the national meet. And so, you just got to stay confident and stay with her, which she's been doing. It's been great. But when you line up and there's a few hundred people across the line, and they're all sprinting that first 100 meters, it is easy to get lost. And we actually had our 2 other true freshman girls who are in the pack right behind Alyssa and Lindsay. They ended up getting separated right away. And so it does become easy to get separated, but that's the biggest thing that we need to work on is just kind of holding together.
How do you practice that? You don't have that many people in practice.
That it becomes tough. On the men's side, it's a little bit easier. They just need to. We're going to get to the meet on Friday, go to the course, and practice basically our starts. And so we're going to go into the block, and we'll do strides is what we do before meets. And so we'll do our strides starting in the lane. And so in cross country, there's a chute that you start in that's like 2.5 people wide, really. So you have like 2 people start, and then you have 2 more behind them, and then 2 more behind them, so on. And so in that, you've got a bunch of other teams that are right on each side of you. And that was, I think Arkansas was right next to you girls. Mm-hmm. And so that can be kind of intimidating. But then you're all shooting out of these little funnels, and then the whole field funnels after like 150 meters. And so it's really easy to let 2 or 3 people slide in between you, and then you may not see your teammate until the end of the race, even though they should be running together. And so our men just have to be a little bit more physical and holding people off and not letting people into their kind of group. And then our women, it'll be a little bit difficult because as soon as someone gets in between them, it's much harder to find that other person. But they just have to be kind of like glue on each other by the hip and not let anyone in. The men, it's going to be a little easier to be physical when you have a big group and be aware of where your team is. But yeah, I don't know. That's going to be the biggest thing, I think, for the weekend for key to our success. So,
what do you guys just preparation-wise? Is it more who you're going against, or is it more where the race is? Because you guys are in like one of those unique situations. It's an individual sport, but it's a team. Mm-hmm. So, like, how do you guys go about that for different races?
I think. Well, and the other thing, what Triston was talking about earlier, with being on the line with a bunch of Division I talent. That can be intimidating, but then you look at the results at the end of the race, and School of Mines gets first by a long way, and then you have Western right up there, and then you have the team that our men finished right behind at the national meet, Alabama Huntsville. They're up there, and so there's like 5 out of the top 6 teams were Division II schools at that meet with Oklahoma and Oklahoma State and Arkansas. All those schools, all those big Division I schools, ranked Division I schools. It's still all mostly RMAC schools right at the top, and we're up there in the top, almost in the top 10. And so, we race these schools on a weekly basis, and so we get to see the best athletes in the country every year. And so I think having Lindsay and Kira on the women's side is going to help give Alyssa and our other true freshmen a little bit of confidence, because they were able to go out and compete with the best of Western and the best of Mines and the best of Adams. And then Triston, same way. He competed last year, and it was a little bit, he had a great true freshman year, but he was a little bit more in the middle of the pack. But he had guys like Tony that were up there, and Tony ended up winning that national meet. And he was always like one of the top tier guys, even when we were competing against Western and Adams and Mines and those top guys in the country. And so I think seeing them on a weekly basis or like a bi-weekly basis whenever we're meeting kind of takes them back down to earth, especially once you realize you can start competing with them. And I think that we're at the point where we know that we can start competing with them. We just have to go and do it, which I think we'll do this weekend.
Question of the week: if your life was a TV show, what would it be?
Pretty much one of my favorite shows would be The Office, just because, I don't know, there's just different characters that I in my life that I've met. Like my roommates, they all have different personalities. You just never know what's gonna happen in the room. Like pretty much they walk in, maybe they bring some news that's like related to school and maybe related to like, oh, look what I found. But yeah, it's just, you just never know with them and the team too. Sometimes it's just a different day.
I would have to go with Rick and Morty because they're always going on an adventure.
I will go with Triston as well with The Office. I think that would be interesting to document our day by day. See some of the characters on the team, how they interact at practice is interesting, especially the ones that live together.